Hey, the name's Cruel. That's King Rob Rule. I just want to start off this video with a clarification. I'm not saying Blade Masters are any lesser hunters than bowgunners, or that bowgunning is superior, or anything like that at all. This video is a story, if you will. A story about how I was introduced to the bowgunning class, my initial impressions of the weapons, and how my experience with Monster Hunter Rise made me feel like a real hunter. And there's that wording again. But don't you worry, you'll get what I mean by the end of the video. So long as I can communicate my meaning to you effectively, that is. Let's start off with my first ever experience with bowguns. This all started with my first experience with Monster Hunter. That is, on the Switch with Generations Ultimate. I know, what a game to start with, right? Anyway, if I recall correctly, I had beaten most of the game playing as an Insect Glaive main, and I was looking to switch it up. So I did what any Lost Generations player would do, and started looking up Gaijin Hunter's weapon guides. After a fair bit of research, it looked like what I wanted to get into was Aerial Light Bowgun and Valor Heavy Bowgun. So I went through the process of creating my gunner armor, picking out my weapons, and preparing my ammunition. After watching Gaijin's guides a couple of times, I felt confident I was ready to play the weapons and have a lot of fun. And for a while, it was fun. But for some reason, it just didn't last. I just wasn't getting the same thrill of hunting as I would get from my Insect Glaive. The exact same thing happened to me again on my playthrough of Monster Hunter World. However, again, I had waited until much further into the game to give it a shot. I had waited till the end of Iceborne, to be precise. I just couldn't ignore all the people out there saying how overpowered the bowguns are, and I needed to have a taste of that rumoured power. So, once again, I looked up the most OP weapon I could find. I applied the most meta gunning skills available to me at that time, and prepared myself for a gunning slaughterfest. But the exact same thing happened to me that happened in GU. But this time, it was even worse. The whole experience just felt flat and bland compared to my Blade Master weapons. I saw the damage numbers, but didn't feel that exhilaration. It was at this point I was starting to think maybe gunner weapons just aren't for me. But moving on from that moment, there was always like a voice in the back of my head nagging at me to give gunning weapons another chance. That perhaps I'd approached gunning from the wrong angle. I really wanted to like bowgunning, and I wanted to learn to love bowguns the same way I had learned to love all the other weapons that I had learned during my playthrough of Monster Hunter. And with Monster Hunter Rise approaching, I saw this as my perfect chance to give them another shot. The build-up for Monster Hunter Rise was unique for me. It was the first time I had actually anticipated the release of a new Monster Hunter game as a superfan. The only experience I can compare it to is anticipating the Smash Bros games before they release. However, instead of waiting for roster announcements and the like, it was waiting for the movesets of new weapons, new features, and new monsters. And when I think about it like that, that's extremely high praise. To compare the hype of Monster Hunter to the hype of Smash? All I can say is, congrats Capcom, you nailed the marketing of the game, at least for me and other fans. Anyway, the point of this is, I was looking at all the weapons and wirebug moves in the trailers, and I decided, this time I'm going all out and I'm experiencing each and every weapon in the game to the fullest extent that I can. The truth is, I took this one step further and made an armor set for every single monster in the game with an accompanying weapon to go with it. And while that may sound like a grind, it was actually the best Monster Hunter experience I've ever had. As you could imagine, it took a long time to reach this goal, and like any milestone in gaming, once you finally reach it, you're left with a sudden empty feeling, like the game has nothing else to offer. However, I wasn't going to accept this. I wanted to keep enjoying this amazing game I had invested so much time in, so I decided to start a new character. But not any new character, a role-playing character. This was new territory for me. I'd only ever played as joke characters or characters that reflected myself in some way. This time around, I'd be forcing myself to play in a way I wouldn't typically consider. This new character was going to be a female, Japanese-speaking character that strictly only used ranged weapons, primarily bowguns to start with. I'll have to admit, this was partly inspired by the Ace Gunner from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and most recently, Legends of the Guild. The initial plan was to create an experience that was completely fresh, that would allow me to look on the game with new eyes, but I had no idea the extent to which this would affect me. Now, starting as a bowgunner is a completely different experience to starting as a blade master, as I would soon learn. You only have a limited range of bowguns to choose from. But wait, I hear you say, how is that different to blade masters? Well, you see, as a blade master, the only factors you have to consider when purchasing a weapon is the power, sharpness, and maybe an element or status effect. Bowguns have many other factors. The types of ammo it can hold, the recoil, reload times, the types of rapid fire ammo, or the type of special ammo it holds. All of these factors completely change the way you approach a hunt. So when I started, I had two options, heavy bowgun or light bowgun. From memory, I believe I went with the light bowgun because it had rapid fire, normal level 1 ammo, nothing crazy, but good enough to take down the first enemy so I could make a real bowgun. So I did just that. I beat down Great Izuchi a few times until I unlocked the Izuchi light bowgun, which had access to rapid pierce and rapid slicing ammo, both which I had learned in past games were quite valuable to have as rapid ammo. However, I couldn't just rely on these two types of ammo, especially not early on in the game. I didn't have the reserves built up like you do in late stages of the game. I had to think like a hunter. Yeah, here we go, we're finally getting to the point. When I say think like a hunter, I mean I had to consider what tools I had, how I could best use them in the upcoming hunt, and what I would have to do if things didn't go as planned. That is, I had to think, what ammo types am I capable of using with this weapon? What will be effective in the next fight, and where do I have to go on the map to find the materials I need to craft more ammo? It was all starting to slowly click for me. It wasn't about doing the flashiest of moves while fighting toe-to-toe with the monster. It was about preparation. It was about using my knowledge about the monster's anatomy and behavior to my advantage. It was about applying my familiarity of the environment to replenish my ammunition when required. This is what I mean about feeling like a real hunter. As a blade master, all of my loadouts typically look something like this. But as any gunner would know, every weapon you make has its unique loadout, and sometimes, depending on the circumstance, you'll have to sacrifice inventory space to make room for ammo replenishing items like gunpowder and berries. Basically, what I'm trying to say in this video is that playing as a gunner right from the very start completely changed my perspective as a hunter. Blade Masters, I'm one of you. I don't think you're any less of a hunter than bowgunners. I just think bowgunning is a different kind of hunting. Playing as a gunner from the very beginning is an experience I would recommend to anyone, especially those looking for a fresh take on the game until Sunbreak comes out. It was certainly a worthwhile experience for me, and one I'll never forget. I even started over as a bowgunner in my latest playthrough of Iceborne, and I can confirm playing this way restored the magic once again. I think what makes it work for me is the limited options you have. The bowguns you were given and the ammo types available are kind of like a puzzle you have to solve before going out on a hunt. You have to ask yourself questions like, how can I use this ammo set to my advantage in the upcoming fight? Is the monster small? Maybe spread ammo is the way to go. Does the monster have a long body? Let's go for Pierce. Does the monster have a lot of health? Perhaps try some status effects combined with some explosive ammo types. I think that the problem with starting as a bowgunner at later stages of the game is that that puzzle is already solved for you. That is, you have every bowgun to choose from, every complementary armor skill. A large part of that fun has been taken away. But that's just me. Maybe you like completely disabling a monster while standing there pressing ZR for 3 minutes, but that's just not for me. No, for me, the fun came from the limited options and using what I had to accomplish the hunt. But that was just my story on how bowgunning made me feel like a real hunter. I hope you enjoyed this little story time. I've never really done a video like this, so if you liked it, make sure to comment, hit it up with a like and subscribe, and feedback would be appreciated. So even if you dislike the video or let me know in a comment what could be improved, please let me know. Anyway, I've been King Rob Rule, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.